Hello gamers and welcome back. I'm Rob, of course, or Warshack if you want to call me by my in-game name, and we're going to be doing a deck guide on the Cthulhu Mage today. A lot of people may be asking, what the hell is a Cthulhu Mage, Rob? You are crazy. This deck does not exist. Let me tell you, this deck is very much alive. We actually had a suggestion that I try to build a Cthulhu deck. Any deck I wanted. Cthulhu Warrior, we've been there, done that. Cthulhu Priest, pretty common as well. So I tried, you know what, let's try to build a decent Cthulhu Mage deck that can actually win more games than it loses. And funny enough, we actually built one. This deck has been, not only is it super fun to play, it's actually pretty consistent in regards to being able to play very early on tempo plays, which I'm sure we'll see once we get into the actual games themselves. From there, we switch into like some value mid-game, late burst, whether we're, you know, attempting to burst out our opponent because we have our tempo start, or we're wanting to change gears, you know, put some tomes down on the ground, Firelands, Portal, pick up some value there, and then always, of course, dropping that Cthulhu in the late game for that sweet OTK, or if not, that like humongous board clear, right? So for those of you who are unfamiliar with their deck guides and kind of how we go over things, I talk about the deck list, why I have what I have in there, why I play one of cards, why I play particularly some two of cards. Then we talk about some very common synergies that stick out to me within just the deck list itself. And then from there we go into some ranked games. We go ahead and we play, you know, 3 or 4 games. We normally go like 3-1 or 4-0 depending on how the deck performs. I always like to show that one loss in there, to show that, you know, it doesn't matter how strong a deck is, it's gonna lose. You're gonna have losses wherever you play Hearthstone, and you know, sometimes you're just gonna get the bad side of RNG. But besides that, let's head into the deck list here and talk about the cards themselves. So double Babbling Book, this is kind of your early game along with Mana Worm. This is your turn 1 play. The fact that Babbling Book can generate cards that are, most mage spells are pretty good, whether you're talking about tomes, secrets, more draw mechanic, meteor, flame strike, Firelands, Portal. I mean, the list goes on with how many powerful mage cards that this guy can generate, right? But the important part, and I think the part that kind of adds to the flavor of the deck, is that the card that generates, your opponent can't play around that. You know, they see you play double Fireball, they don't expect a third Fireball. You play around what you know your opponent probably has in their deck. And when Babbling Book starts to give you triple copies of particular cards or copies that generate more cards, it's impossible for your opponent to like play around those combos, and then from there you can kind of get an edge because they didn't expect whatever you played with the Babbling Book, which is kind of cheap because there shouldn't be a mechanic in the game that like makes your opponent unable to guess or kind of understand what the hell you're gonna do. But on top of this also being a Cthulhu Mage and them having no idea what's in your deck, the Babbling Book mixes them up even more. The Mana Worm, just, you can't really play like a tempo or an aggressive mage deck without Mana Worm in it. The card's insane. If it's unchecked, you just win because the deck is filled with spells and it's just going to get bigger and bigger every turn. The Beckoner of Evil is a staple because she buffs up your Cthulhu. In this deck, it's very similar to the Druid Cthulhu deck that we've seen a long time ago in regards to how big your Cthulhu can get, because we have 2 Beckoner of Evils, 2 Cult Sorcerers, 2 Disciple of Cthulhu's, 2 Cthulhu's Chosen, and Crazed Worshipper. A lot of these games, Cthulhu is going to be at least, you know, an 18 or 18, 20, 20, or even bigger than that, based on how many, you know, combo pieces we could put together with the Cult Sorcerer. This guy, not only does he give your spell damage +1, after every spell you cast, he gives your Cthulhu +1/+1. So you could go like Cult Sorcerer into Primal Glyph, into another Primal Glyph, into like a 1-mana spell, and then you Frostbolt, and all of a sudden your Cthulhu just grew 4/4 or 3/3, whatever the case may be, just off 1 turn of casting cheap spells. Frostbolt, staple in any mage deck, card's insane. These Glyph cards, these cards are just fucking craziness. I mean, I would have to put them on the same scale as your Fireballs and Frostbolts in regard to how important these guys are. These generate the cards you're looking for in the particular situation that you're in, and it reduces the cost by 2. So whether you're looking for Pyroblast, Ice Block, Fireball, Frostbolt, more draw, Tome, the likelihood of it giving you something pretty useful is very high, and then the fact that it reduces its cost by 2 is even crazier. So fantastic card. The Sorcerer's Apprentice in combination with your spells, which this deck runs a lot of them, is good. The Intellect is your draw mechanic in the deck. So the Intellect is the draw, the Glyph is kind of the value, figure out which situation you're in and pick the right card, and then your Tome, I don't want to say it's the same as the Intellect because you're not drawing cards, you're generating the cards, and you don't actually get to pick the cards that you're generating, but there's different forms of value and draw, so I figure having all 3 in the deck, why not? It works out pretty well. Disciple of Cthulhu is your he's just pretty annoying. You know, the fact that you have a 2/1 and it does 2 damage when he comes out and buff your Cthulhu, you just can't go wrong. He's a staple in most Cthulhu decks. The Cthulhu's chosen, there's a lot of priests running around and a lot of hunters, and both those classes have a really tough time dealing with a divine shield minion, especially one with, you know, 4 attack, which is really annoying to priests. So standalone, he's a really good card as is, and plus, again, buffing your Cthulhu, getting your Cthulhu to a really powerful count, and dropping Cthulhu and bursting their face, or bursting their face and dropping Cthulhu. This deck can do it. Double fireball staple. The double tome was interesting because I figured out, well, let's try with 1 tome and then play like the new Mage legendary, the Phoenix, and I found that the second tome just kind of it gives you a lot of value. So if like, we're going in like a taunt warrior or like a super late game whatever, the double tome, you just can't get any more value than double tome, as long as tome doesn't give you like against like, you know, a priest or a warrior. It gives you like AoE or like mirror images, or it's just useless shit, right? You're looking for either more value, more draw, meteors, firelance portals, fireballs, stuff like that, and most of the time it'll give you at least, you know, 1 or 2 really nice cards and then 1 maybe not so great card. The Crazed Worshipper's taunt, because this deck has no taunt, you know, having at least some defense against a more aggressive based deck like a hunter or some, you know, pirate warriors is pretty important, plus the fact that it's a 3/6 and it's pretty annoying to deal with as is. The Firelance Portal, you just can't beat it. You know, deal 5 damage, summon a random 5 cost minion, plus it's a spell. It's just crazy good. Flame Strike, I actually ran this deck without a Flame Strike, and I found that I was always in need of some giant field clear, whether I was looking for like a Meteor or a Flame Strike. You could actually maybe even get away with running a Meteor instead of Flame Strike, because we already have 2 Firelance Portal, and that's 3 7 drops, and Meteor is a 6 drop, and we have no 6 drops. So Flame Strike and Meteor are probably pretty replaceable in regards to what you're seeing on ladder, but I'm just running Flame Strike because I kept running into a lot of shamans and a lot of priests, along with hunters that would just completely disregard Flame Strike. They're just like, oh, he's playing Cthulhu Mage, we're gonna disregard Flame Strike. So I threw it in there, and it has come in handy more times than not. The Twin Veclor, again, some more taunt, huge value generation. You can't really play a Cthulhu deck without Twin Emperor. The fact that you know, a 7 mana 4/6 that generates himself, and he has taunt, so you get an 8/12 for 7 mana with 2 bodies. You can't beat it. And then of course Cthulhu himself, the Big Bang Bush or Big Dick Swinger, you can't go wrong. He's going to be doing big things for you. So with that, let's head into the ranked games here, and let's get some greater detail and insight into what this deck can actually do. Alrighty, so heading into our first game here, we're going to be playing against, another Mage. So this is Hearthstoner. Okay, so this is going to be an interesting matchup. We'll have to see what kind of Mage he's playing, whether he's playing like Secret Mage or Time Warp Mage or Exodia Mage or Freeze Mage. There's a lot of different mages floating around there right now, so I guess we'll mulligan toward the most general one, which is most likely going to be some tempo, elemental warp mage thing. Again, there's so many different kind of decks floating around at this point in time. It's really hard to say off the bat like what your opponent is playing. It's definitely going to take at least 3 or 4 turns to kind of identify their play style and what they're playing themselves. So it looks like this is definitely a quest mage. Whether it's going to be the Exodia mage or some sort of giant mage, we'll have to see from here. Our plays are as follow. We could glyph and look for some sort of spell. This isn't really that great right now because the situation we're in isn't that dire. We go with the Frostbolt to kind of just clear up the board, or we actually could coin into Intellect. I like Frostbolt, kind of just gets this guy off the board. We don't take on any unnecessary damage, and we could easily just be able to play the Arcane Intellect next turn and maybe coin into an early to an Emperor. So he played a Secret, so this is probably Ice Block. The reason being is that you normally would never play a Secret like this, like if a counter spell with your opponent having coin in the hand. So this is going to be a hard one. We can actually just coin Intellect, but then we kind of waste the coin. So I guess we'll start off with like a Disciple of Cthulhu, and then then we could coin next turn, use Arcane Intellect and the Glyph. Or we could just Arcane Intellect knowing it's not a counter spell. I think I'm going to know it's not a counterspell. I'll make that bet. And now we can chill. We could actually coin the Babbling Book, but I don't like that. I'd rather coin the Worshipper. Playing Cthulhu definitely takes your opponent by surprise. So this is going to be an Ice Block or an Ice Barrier. So I guess we could play around the copy spell if we go Babbling Book first and actually save the coin. So I actually don't mind playing the Babbling Book first, just in case it's the copy card. It's always good to play around some stuff. It's just when you start playing around too many things, it becomes a little bit ridiculous. Which I actually do a lot by accident. I'll be playing around like Vaporize, Spellbender, Counterspell, all these cards that I definitely shouldn't be playing around, and then it'll actually cost me the game some of the times. So we'll attack. Is it barrier or block? Okay, so it's the barrier. No big deal there. All right, so we could actually go with the Disciple to guarantee that we get Veclor out, or we could just go with the Worshipper, and I kind of want to go and guarantee that this guy's going to come out. So I guess first things first, we'll go Glyph because we have the excess mana. Potion of Polymorph, Ice Barrier, or Frost Nova. Potion of Polymorph is probably actually our best bet here, granted that his deck is a kind of an OTK deck, and if we can stop the draw or anything like that, that actually might help us more than not help us. So like if we can Potion a Polymorph, like a Alkalite of Pain, maybe a Giant later on in the game, it'll be pretty good. Blizzard doesn't really stop us too much. We can easily, like I said, coin into the Veclar, which is a pretty big threat to have to deal with. And because he just used Blizzard, maybe he has Meteor. We'll have to see. We can easily deal with this guy, whether using Fireball or Ping or whatever. That's why it was almost good to set up Potion and Polymorph, because let's say we could have Potion a Polymorph the Doomsayer, we wouldn't have to waste the Fireball on him. I'm actually going to put the Mana Worm on this side. Play around that sweet Meteor. We put him over here, he can Meteor this guy, kills this guy, damages this guy and the Mana Worm. Putting him here, if he goes here, kills this, and this still, or the side still lives, so it's not too bad. We're definitely looking for an ice block out of like a Tome, which we have 2 of, or a Glyph, which we have 1 more of. Having that extra turn to live is going to be really important. He's definitely freezing away. Alright, so I guess Tome, Potion of Polymorph is going to be a thing. Definitely Tome for sure. Wow, that was really not so helpful. I really don't want to kind of put anything more on the board. You might play around Counterspell by casting like a cheap spell first. Secrets really mess with mages because a lot of good spells come from mages, like Firelands, Portal Up. It doesn't even give a fuck. All he knows is not Counterspell at this point. There's the Flame Strike. That's why I didn't want to develop more onto the board. And now we can go ahead and develop like the other Mana Worm, a Worshipper. There's a Giant. This worked out perfect. This was fantastic. Oh man, so we know he's running Giant Mage, and that's just so helpful now. That was a lot of information we just gained from that turn there. Alright, so we go ahead. We could play around Meteor some more with a Crazed Worshipper on this side. I guess we could put Mana Worm on this other side here. Or we could go with the Sorcerer's Apprentice. Probably the Sorcerer's Apprentice, to be honest. Because we're going to be playing Tome next turn. Oh man, so we got rid of 1 giant, which means he has 2 more giants if he has Molten Reflection in his deck, which is still 16 damage.
An incredible discovery.
It's a lot of Frost Novas, guys. My board has been frozen a number of times. So there's the other giant. I don't know what he's going for here, because we're definitely going to be able to kill that giant. So we could Firelands, Portal, Frostbolt. Actually, before we Firelands Portal, we should probably check to see if it is indeed not a counterspell. So if it's not a counterspell, we could probably go with the Cone of Cold first. so we have assuredly it is not Counterspell or Spellbender. Now that seemed like a little waste of a Cone of Cold there, but I'd rather play around Spellbender and Counterspell. Because let's say we play like Arcane Explosion, it won't trigger the Spellbender. So we dealt with both his giants. So unless he's Exodia Mage with giants, I mean that's gonna be even crazier at that point. That would be a very interesting deck. It's still pretty important that we get a block just in case something like that exists. I mean, it's not like it couldn't exist. It's just like kind of why would you play giants and Exodia portion? Because you almost only want to solely look for the burn. So again, I'll casually play around the Counterspell. Okay. Attack with the 4/1s first, just in case of Vaporize. It was like ding ding. His attacks lagged a little bit and then both of them happened at the same time. Not much we can do with Shatter. We've gotten some pretty unfortunate cards from our double tome. There's some pretty weak cards to be honest here. Oh no, so it looks like he actually is playing the Exodia Mage. Or maybe he's just playing Sorcerer's Apprentice and he has one Molten Reflection in his deck for the Giants. Which easily could be the case. Which looks like it is the case. Okay. So there's the extra turn. He has to be looking for something. Blizzard's pretty good. Allows him to clear up these 4/1s. Frostbolt there allows him to clear up the okay. He's piling it on right now. He's constructing additional pylons for sure. Okay, so I guess Volcanic Potion is the easiest thing, and then we could go with like Disciple into the Flame Geyser. I think that's pretty safe bet there. So first things first, I suppose we go with this. Gets counterspelled. Or not. Okay. Well, he's obviously gonna probably copy whatever we play. So I guess we can go with the Disciple, and then we'll ping off the Disciple. Okay, there we go. There we go. Stuff is making sense now. We even got the Battle Cry off. That feels pretty nice. So now the point is, do we go and extend the Mana Worm and the Sorcerer's Apprentice onto this board? I think the Mana Worm is safe, to be honest. It's not that scary. So he's used a lot of his win condition, double tome, and we're still ahead in both life points and value. We haven't even drawn Cthulhu yet, which whenever we draw him, yeah, that's the way it's gonna tumble there, buddy. I don't know what he was. I mean, I understand with the whole Giants, you got to bring him out early because he was in like a really losing situation. But at that point, if that's your winning combination of cards, you can't be throwing, you can't be willy-nilly with that stuff, guys. The deck has a strategic goal in place, and you have to achieve that goal every game. You can't deviate from the plan of that goal. Our goal is to make a giant fucking Cthulhu and OTK our opponent. It'd be kind of silly for us to play Cthulhu as a 6/6. That just seems like a really not so swell thing to do. And let me tell you, that's not what we're trying to do. So this could be the Warlock, which means, this seems okay. Not Warlock, the Murloc Paladin. So which is like a mid-rangey, aggressive Murloc. I don't know how to explain this deck. It's pretty cancer though. It's going to be a tough battle, so this actually might be the one we lose for those of you who are unfamiliar with how we do our deck guides. We normally go in here and we win, you know, 2 or 3, pushing for 3, and then we normally, of course, add that 1 loss in there because it's pretty unrealistic to win every single game you play with a particular deck. I like the Sorcerer's Apprentice, to be honest. And then this can make this trade. He might go out of his way above and beyond to kill this thing, thinking that it's going to be like some huge threat, when in reality it's really just not. I like saving these guys for the spells. Okay, so we actually could go like Cult Sorcerer, Frostbolt. Then we're just like super prone to Consecration, which I really don't like. So I kind of just like the coin, bring out this guy, and then the double trade. But then we're weak to up like Pyromancer. I mean, this into this. Like, ideally, the best turn would be go like Mano. Yeah, this is probably just by far the best thing we can do. I'm gonna go with the tempo play here. This is not normally how I would play this, but due to the fact that our hand is very, very aggressive right now, I'm gonna play it as we were playing an aggressive base deck. Our hand tells us to go, so we go. We can't play a value game when our hand is very aggressive. So we're just gonna hope he doesn't have like, you know, Wild Pyromancer quality, which really messes up. Even in a Consecration really messes up here. Kills 3 minions. I mean, that's just brutal. But that's not like a card that the opponent would like keep in the opening hand, you know? That's something that they would normally draw into, because against a mage you can always assume some form of control. There's almost never an aggressive mage out right now. I mean, even Secret Mage is fairly passive. So we just need to draw into like an Arcane Intellect or a Tome, and we should be good back on the value. Not a big deal. Not a big deal there. That's pretty unfortunate. So what we would do here is probably just swing and ping, to be honest. Probably just drop the Cult Sorcerer and hope he doesn't have another Consecration. At that point, this would be our loss. Yeah, that's a very interesting card to pick. Very defensive card. That's good, at least he didn't get a Tyrion. But even at this game is going to be done before the Tyrion drops. So he's going to kill the 3-2 or the 4-2. Goes after the 4-2. This is going to do 7. This is going to do 3. We have 11. If we draw into like a Frostbolt, we just win this game. Ooh, the Glyph could be good. So this is 7. We have 11. I think I'm going to go for just the direct damage here. I'm just going to go for the burn plan. He can't play Lay on Hands yet. I know he doesn't play the Ritual. So he's going to be at 4 life with the weapon. If he swings with the weapon first, then heals, he's at 1. So he has to find a way to kill this guy. So he might buff this 1-1, but we could have pinged it to stop that buff from happening. But I didn't want to Glyph because I needed to fit in the ping. Okay, so we got around the taunt. This is going to do 5. We can ping and swing. That's game. And he can't kill this because then he's at 1. Oh yeah, we can't ping and swing. You're exactly right. That's a pretty good top deck too. I'm kind of curious just what we would have gotten out of the Glyph. Arcane Intellect's really nice. That would have provided us with basically anything we needed. Like the chance we draw into Frostbolts, Tomes, Firelands, Portal. I mean, the list goes on. And that's even with the Consecration to kill 3 minions at the start. I mean, if your hand tells you go, guys, you can't tell your hand no. You do what the hand says. You do what the hand says. All right, Spiffy. Another Mage, eh? So I think we put back the Tome and the Emperor, and we keep the 2-3 curve. We look like a Mana Worm or like a Babbling Book. There we go. The Cthulhu's really rough to have in the opening hand, but at least on turn 10 we could play him if he doesn't have an Ice Block developed by then. But if he's playing Freeze or Secret, you know, the chances that he does have a Secret developed by then is pretty high. Maybe he's playing Tempo Mage. We get lucky. I don't know. It's always hard to say with these mages, man. Do you have Babbling Book or do you not, man? Ah, Secret Mage. I like it. I like it a lot. So, I guess let's go ahead and test if that is in fact a counterspell. Nope. Okay. There's a big problem with that Cabal Lackey card. It sets you behind so much. Because the Mage secrets aren't that aggressive. They're very passive aggressive. So when you give up an entire card to summon a secret out early that the secret isn't going to give you a big like tempo advantage, it kind of puts you not so much in the driver's seat. Like, even if it copies my 2/3, I'm not really that disappointed with it. Okay, Potion of Polymorph, it literally does nothing. I got the effect from my card. This turn he has to be forced to ping, or we're going to be able to go like Mana Worm, or like even Sorcerer's Apprentice, something. We'll figure it out. Okay, the ping is fine. So we could just go Mana Worm, ping, and then he's forced to ping and swing. We could go with Sorcerer's Apprentice, but then he trades and pings. We could go with the Intellect, but then he kind of gets kind of a leg up on the board. I kind of like the Mana Worm and ping because it forces him to, on turn 4, ping as well. And then this swings, and now it has 2. But the 2 doesn't really matter. But then next turn with Mana Worm, Intellect, he'd be forced to ping yet again, and then swing, this would die. And we've kind of wasted both Mana Worms. But it stops us from taking early game damage. Because right now, if we just Intellect, we're kind of really far behind, because then we're forced to like Sorcerer's Apprentice ping, he gets to develop. So as bad as this does look, it stops him from like doing a lot of things, because he's forced to hero power every turn, and he doesn't really have much. Like secrets cost 3. If he was at 5, I would say he could ping in secret, but right now he's forced to ping and swing, and then he's gonna probably develop nothing unless he wants to develop a creature and ignore the Mana Worm. Then we just drop another Mana Worm and Arcane Intellect, or we drop like Sorcerer's Apprentice and Arcane Intellect. Oh, he got a Babbling Book. Okay, so we're in the same situation we were last turn. Rip. He wants to develop a secret. Oh, he's gonna actually do. Whoa, he's gonna Frostbolt just to get this 2 damage face. Holy moly. He reeks of desperation. Okay. This is a pretty fine position. We go Mana Worm, Sorcerer's Apprentice, Arcane Intellect. I mean, our Cthulhu's already a 10/10, so as soon as we draw into Veclore, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. The secret, okay.
I'm late.
A 2 mana 5/5. Okay. So I guess we play Sorcerer's Apprentice first. We probably play Mana Worm first. No, we play Sorcerer's Apprentice first.
Someday I'll be just like you.
The reason we play Sorcerer's Apprentice first, because if he copied it, we could trade into it with the Beckoner. So I think this goes ahead and makes this trade here. So then we can ping it next turn, but he knows this trade is gonna happen. Oh no, what do I do? We probably trade into the 5/5, to be honest. Because this trades here, then this will trade here, and if this trades here, we can ping it. If we trade here, this trades here, he pings this, that trades there. We could go face. I'd rather guarantee we get some damage on here. I'm gonna make this trade. I'm gonna cash in my 2/3 on there. It forces the trades. If he doesn't, then we're just ahead, because we get to kill it with the Disciple or normally just the ping. And then as soon as we can start whipping out these guys, we're all good in the hood. We're a little far behind though. I mean, at 24 health, he has 2 sizable creatures that can do 7, 4 cards in hand, so probably a Fireball somewhere mingled in there. There's the trade we knew was gonna happen. There's the Frostbolt, which is why we cashed in the trade last time, because he could have killed our 2/3, and then we would have put no damage on that. So now at least we can Disciple and ping it, which is really, really important. I mean, we can even go as far as Babbling Book first, just in case that's like a copy card. No copy card? Okay. Alright, so now he's down to 3 cards. These secrets, like I said, they're good, but they're not gonna save him, like, super craziness. Okay, the Intellect was a super good draw for him there. Okay, so I suppose we will use the Intellect first, because I really don't want my Ice Block to die. Just in case he has Counterspell. I'd rather him stop 2 card draws and stop an extra life. Because we already have Firelands Portal, which is really good on its own. Alright, so let's test it. Yeah, it's fine. We have 2 tomes in the deck. That's the only reason I think that's okay. And we have this in our hand. If we had like Cthulhu, Flame Strike, and this was Beckoner of Evil, I would have thrown away the ice block. Okay, so that's an easy Firelands portal target. Dun, dun. This guy could actually juke me out big time if that's a spellbender. Oh, it was. He got me good. Oh, this is horrible too. Are you fucking kidding me? All right, this is probably gonna be our loss. This is horrible. A 2/2 that deals 5 damage to myself. You got me fucked up with that one, man. Does he actually just play the spellbender? He does. That's amazing. This card is like, it's like far worse than a counterspell. It just worked out from here because he had both spellbender and counterspell out, so it worked out pretty nicely. But for the most part, you'd never run the spellbender. I like his list though. Anybody playing like a secret mage list, there's some kudos there. All right, so 2 more secrets. We could probably go with like the Cult Sorcerer Flame Strike. Not much else we can do. We have to hope that there's not another counterspell buried in there. Ooh, that was brutal. Okay, so now we have to fireball. No counterstrike. Oh man, this guy with his counterspells, man. All right, so I guess we ping this down. Dun, dun. To get counterspelled twice and the spellbender. It's cool. It's working out well for him. I'm hoping he can't pop the block this turn. And then maybe, just maybe, we can win with the Cthulhu. Just maybe. Does he have another secret? It's a good Flame Strike, but Cthulhu is probably better. So he has 7 damage on board, so it's a pretty high chance that Cthulhu is actually going to be able to kill both these guys. Yeah. Alright, so now we're going to hope he doesn't run that Polymorph, and then we're going to have to go with like Tome and look for an Ice Block, and then if not, we're going to have to Glyph into an Ice Block. Please don't Glyph into a Polymorph. Not like this. I deserve so much better. I deserve so much better. Alright, he doesn't have Glyph into Polymorph. Cone of Cold, that's fine. It is what it is. And he's going to pop the block here. Alright, he's looking for... Don't hit face, don't hit face. Oh no, Frostbolt Ping. Okay, so we definitely need block. We're on a super timer right now. Super timer. Alright. Ice block. Alright, ice block. Yes. Gotta fit in. Actually, if we Frostbolt face, we can Pyroblast next turn for a win. Alright, please don't draw Ice Block. Please don't Ice Block me. Not right now, not like this. Do not Ice Block me.
Excuse me, you are on fire.
Whew. We almost lost this, boys. It indeed was a close one. We played to our outs. That was hype in the fucking chat right there. That was an epic game. Holy shit. That was good. That was a good game, guys. Alright, so we'll play one more. Maybe we'll get the 4th win, or maybe we'll get that 1 loss in here. It'll be good. I'm good with either one of those. If we get the 4 wins in a row, obviously this deck, it has some potential. I mean, I think that I don't make deck guides on deck I don't have potential. I specifically mentioned, oh, this is like a meme deck. Like when we play like meme shaman, and that was pretty cool. We're gonna keep actually the glyph, because if he's pirates, then we can use the glyph defensively, and if he's taunt, then we use it offensively. So it's good just to kind of have it, just in case. He's probably taunt. I don't think pirates would be at 2600 or 2700. Pirates, you know, they make their way down the ladder pretty quickly, but nonetheless, he's still a legend. Okay, so he's quest. Kind of saw that coming. Alright, so with the glyph, we're going to look for the value. And none of these are value. Okay, well, Shatter's not the worst thing in the world, to be completely honest, because we can actually go ahead and maybe get, no, it's pretty fucking bad. Maybe Blizzard. Maybe Blizzard? It's between Shatter or Blizzard. We probably take Blizzard. The only reason I said Shatter is because he's gonna play like these high taunt minions and we can like Frostbolt Shatter. It's not the best thing, but it's also not the worst thing. So now the question is, do we Disciple of Cthulhu and hopefully he uses the weapon on it? Probably. Now he knows we're playing a Cthulhu deck. That was a really bad glyph, by the way, guys. At least we got Chosen into Tome, and maybe Tome could give us a Tome. And Tome into Tome is always like a great thing. So now we play Chosen. Kind of hurts us. This 1/4 taunt's bad because it takes care of this Divine Shield pretty easily. We can also go Blizzard Swing, then play this on 5, or go like Tome on 5, and this is harder to deal with. Maybe, probably not though. Oh, he's just gonna use the weapon on it now. Fantastic. This works out well. Now we actually have to like Ravaging Ghoul or something. Boop. That was perfect. He should never use the weapon on a 2/1 when he has a 1/4 out. That was just a silly goose kind of move. Somebody's a goose. And we can actually get our Cthulhu high enough, clear his board to a point where we can just OTK him with Cthulhu, because this deck has so many Cthulhu generators that we can get Cthulhu easily to like 20 plus. And that's just really, really nice. Using the Whirlwind to get the extra card off that. Trades there so we can now get the easy trade on Pain. I don't understand how what this guy's his game plan is, but it's something. The reason I trade there is just because dealing 4 damage versus the Ravaging Ghoul, and now he has a 1/1 and a 3/3 in play versus the other way around. Dun, 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 dun. So I guess we deal 6 to that. I mean, we have 3 Flame Strikes and a Blizzard in our hand. I think we got AoE. This would be so good against any mid-range deck, man. If we were playing Shaman, he would literally kill himself. He would have shot himself in the foot already. Alright, so we could go... Unfortunately, we can't like Firelands Portal and combo it with anything else. We could Blizzard now just to get the 2 damage in. Fireland Portal next turn. We could go with like the Disciple of Cthulhu. We also could go with like Cult Sorcerer, Frostbolt for 4. Yeah, this doesn't feel that bad. Go ahead and freeze this down. Then we can hit it with the Disciple and ping it next turn. And then we'll actually... yeah, this feels fine. Get the value with the Cult Sorcerer with a spell in there. That gives them something to want to deal with on the board. Plus these do 5 now. Maybe this was bad. Coin, 8-drop, Drake. Ooh, brutal. Do we actually have to Flame Strike this so we can Firelands Portal next turn? Or do we just choose to draw and chill? Yeah, I guess we could draw and like Blizzard. We have so many Flame Strikes. We have so many Flame Strikes. Flame Strike in this matchup is just not good. Everything he has is above 4 HP. Besides that turtle guy, the defender.
The menagerie is for guests.
The menagerie is for ghosts. Okay, so we're just gonna go like Intellect Draw. Intellect Draw. Go with the book. Go with Blizzard. Dude, they just given us double Blizzard, triple Flame Strike. What is this deck doing right now? This deck it went from like super aggressive and now it's turned into like ultimate AoE awesomeness. Don't go for health. Don't health me, bro. Oh, he goes for health. Always the health. Alright. So if we Flame Strike, oh, Flame Strike's looking pretty good. But now he has the deal 8 damage a turn. It's gonna turn down to a race, my friend. We do have a decent amount of damage though. He's probably saving shield slams. I really don't mind Blizzard. Well, another Blizzard. Because if we go with Flame Strike, dies, lives at 3, and then we actually have to Frostbolt just to swing for 1, and Frostbolt is better on face.
Interesting.
Are you my master?
Okay. The reason I'm pinging this is because this 1/1 actually is either going to absorb 8 damage with a rag hit or absorb a 4/2 weapon of Sulfurous. Okay. Dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun.
This way.
This doesn't look promising. This does not look promising. Like I said, these random generations have not been the highest of quality. It's alright though. Have faith in the light. So we're going to be taking 10 damage this turn. Oh boy. Oh boy. So I guess this is where we flame strike again. That just feels not so good. Well, if we can ping and Firelands Portal, this stays alive now. Oh man. So we're taking 12. This is a 15-15. Unfortunately, we drew this way too late. We needed this a little bit earlier. Yeah. Alright. I will graciously accept my loss here. Holding on to the weapon makes sense. So I guess we go with the apprentice into here. We look for some sort of secret that's going to save our life. This actually helps a tidbit. Now the question is, do we just Cone of Cold this, or we try to fireball it down? I guess we Cone of Cold it. So as long as this fireball doesn't kill one of these zeros, actually he could just sleep with the fishes. Yeah, we've lost. So all he has to do is go, oh, brawl. Yeah, and then he just kills with whatever with his weapon. Oh, even his guy even lived. Lol, CAG XD. Okay, I would imagine this actually going a little bit better for us if we wouldn't have gotten so many kind of weird cards. Because the Taunt Warrior, I don't find it. As soon as they switch to the Rag Hero power, we can kind of start going face with all of the stuff. And we have a lot of burn. So like they go with the Rag Hero power, right? And we just drop the Cthulhu. We deal a crazy amount of damage. And we follow it up with like Fireballs and Firelands Portals and stuff like that. So I don't think the Taunt Warrior is that bad of a matchup, to be honest, with this particular deck. It's just, you know, we didn't really get the most fortunate luck with our glyphs or our the tome that we drew, or the babbling books giving us more like AoE, because that's like the one matchup that AoE doesn't matter, because they can just sit behind the taunts and throw the 8 damage fireballs. If it was normal, like normal control warrior, like we've seen back in the day, we actually could have maybe even gone to fatigue in that point, because in our deck we only have 2 draw mechanics, while he used quite a few in regards to like shield block and like Alkalite of Pain and things of that nature. So anyway, guys, I appreciate you watching, and I'll catch you in the next deck guide, of course. I'm Robert Warshack, and happy whatever the hell day it is.